Midwives are warning that proposed new insurance rules will put more women and their babies at risk if they choose to give birth at home. Tomorrow, state and federal health ministers will consider a plan to insure private midwives who perform low-risk home births. But that, say the midwives, means they'll be unable to attend women in riskier home births, leaving the field open to unqualified and unregulated practitioners. This report from John Stewart and Candice Talberg.
Kelly Lanfranca's first two children were born in hospital, both by caesarean section. It was an experience that left her traumatised and angry.
I feel robbed. I feel like that very first birth, I wish somebody had have told me back then, because I was only 25, I wish somebody had have told me that the decisions you make for your first birth will forever impact what you do. Because I took the advice of somebody who was clearly more concerned with scheduling than my own journey, I guess.
7 weeks ago, Kelly Lanfranca delivered her third child, Ava. This time, she chose to birth at home with a midwife.
The person who was here caring for me was someone who I had spent 20 weeks getting to know, who knew me so well, who knew what I wanted from this birth, who knew my behaviour, my mannerisms, my personality, so she could tell the whole time that I was perfectly fine, perfectly comfortable, perfectly relaxed.
Most home births are attended by a midwife, but most private practising midwives are not insured to deliver babies at home. From mid-next year, all midwives will have to be insured, in line with new laws for health professionals. Tomorrow, health ministers will consider a new insurance model for midwives, which excludes women considered to be high risk for home births. Lateline has obtained a copy of the insurance model being discussed. It states that insurance will only be available to those midwives who perform normal, low-risk birth at home, no vaginal birth after caesarean, twins, breech or any other obstetric complications. Home birth groups say that some women will be abandoned by the health system.
What we're most concerned about is that women are going to be left without care providers. And so women who choose to home birth, who may have risk factors, maybe they've had a previous caesarean, maybe they're overweight or over a certain age, we're concerned that those women will no longer be allowed to use a registered midwife if they choose to birth at home.
The Midwives Association says that midwives who assist a high-risk woman in a home birth will be unable to get insurance and may be penalised if things go wrong.
Women will potentially be forced to birth unattended. Midwives will have to choose whether they support women to give birth at home with risk factors and therefore risk actually getting reported and losing their registration.
Dr Andrew Pesha is an obstetrician practising at Westmead Hospital in Sydney. He says that high-risk women should not have babies at home.
Unfortunately, in high-risk home birth, the midwife can't really do anything other than advise a woman to come into the hospital and can't assist in an emergency situation in any other way except resuscitating the baby.
Dr Pesha says that ensuring Australian midwives to assist high-risk home births will encourage more high-risk women to birth at home, and that could lead to a rise in infant deaths.
I think that midwives should be insured, but the question then becomes, does insurance then underpin unsafe practice, which is recognised as unsafe, or whether insurance should underpin safe practice? And I think health ministers would probably agree that they should be underpinning safe practice rather than unsafe practice.
The most recent data shows that in 2009 there were 863 planned home births in Australia, compared with nearly 295,000 births in hospitals. But what's not being counted is how many women are having babies at home in so-called free births, without qualified medical support.
What will happen is women will increasingly turn to free birth and to other unqualified, unregistered, unregulated health workers, and that is simply going to increase risk.
Kelly Lanfranca is planning to have a fourth child and wants another home birth, but she falls into the high-risk category and is worried about going ahead without a qualified midwife.
If you take away my right to a midwife, then it makes it dangerous. And do I want to risk myself and my baby? No. But do I want to go to a hospital where I'm going to face the same battle again and be treated like an invalid because of the fact that I've had 2 caesarean sections, like a ticking time bomb basically? Well, no, I don't. I don't want to have my baby in a hospital.
Tomorrow's meeting of health ministers will be closely watched by home birth groups, obstetricians and mothers across the country. John Stewart, Lateline.